Welcome, everybody. This is D. Durrell at D. Durrell Life Solutions. Happy to be here once again. I'm going to do a quick live stream today. Not going to be too long. Um, I am simulcasting from D. Durrell The Rebirth and also D. Durrell Life Solutions. Um, I'm going to have just a small discussion. This is going to be a 30-minute discussion, which I'm going to talk about marriage and the stresses of marriage. We're going to talk about or tackle um, certain layers of marriage in which it may cause a lot of pain, pressure, stress, all of the adverse things that incorporate a marriage. I would like to say that first and furthermore, that marriage itself is not a easy thing to manage. It is not easy to manage a marriage, no matter how good the marriage appears to be and how bad the marriage has been. When you are dealing with people and when you're in a relationship, there's always the possibility of something not not going in the manner that you think it should. Marriage itself is a legal connection between two people in which they agree to function in a manner to build and grow for a lifetime. Supposed to be for a lifetime. However, in this day and age, it appears to me that sometimes things don't always involve a lifetime. It appears to me that people marry for all the wrong reasons. And when they are actually involved in the day-to-day aspects of marriage, they can't handle that. When we're focusing on marriage, we're focusing on people living together, building together. There's an emotional aspect. There's a social aspect. There is a sexual aspect. There's a financial aspect. Every concept that I just listened has its list of issues. We give a shout out to Simply Deep 1985. Appreciate you for coming in. Appreciate it. The stresses of managing a household. The stresses of managing time, children, family. You're working, he's working. We're trying to pay all the bills. We want to save. We want to go on vacations. The kids have soccer practice. Issues with kids at school. Your parents need help. His parents need help. Your in-laws need help. Simply Deep 1985 says, "What's your content about? So I'll know what to ask when you in the future." My content is mainly about relationships, mental health issues, counseling, anything that deals with counseling, psychology. Also, you can ask questions in regards to education as it relates to the Umar Johnson pro-black Pan-African sector. I also tackle issues in black YouTube. But my main content is about mental health, counseling, psychology. What's up, Dallas Cowboys? How you doing, brother? So, religion. Religion has its set of issues. Maybe one partner doesn't want to adopt another religion or another denomination. Maybe they find you're Baptist, they're Catholic. You're Muslim, the other person's Christian. What are we going to teach our children? These can all be characterized as problems in a marriage. Is my husband communicating with me more during the day? Is he texting me enough? Is he calling me on my lunch break or before I get off of work? When I come home, am I doing most of the work and he's just kicking back, watching TV, drinking a beer? Or is he helping me and we're collaborating with managing our home? Excuse me. Also, we can also ascertain the fact of the influence of other people, like friends and associates, in your relationship, which is a big no-no. These 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 occurrences can cause a problem with you and the person you're with. When you listen to advice from people that are not in your shoes. These people don't always say things that are in the best interest of you. They say things in the best interest of having somebody else to talk to because they're lonely and they want somebody to also be miserable and lonely as them. Black Einstein Production says, "What's up, family? In your opinion, D. Durrell, do the stresses get easier with time? I see many people many times that happens a lot. And no, the stressors do not get easier. Now, you may learn to deal with it better over time, but the stressors are consistent in a marriage. The reason why the stressors are consistent is because you're operating in a dichotomy in a marriage with another person. And that other person thinks and does things and has a mind of their own. And your problems become their problems. And your problems becomes their problems. So it's something we say in counseling. When you're a couple, we don't have an I problem. We have a we problem. Because a lot of times when something affects you in a marriage alone, it also can affect the spouse. Those are facts. We have to accept. We have to accept the fact that things change. Nothing stays the same. Alcoholism, drug abuse, those can be stresses in a marriage. Going out, staying out too late, running to your parents every time you have a problem, wanting your parents to solve your problems. In most situations, the stressors that occurred before you get married will also be the same stressors you will deal with after you're married. Because the only thing changes when you get married is your last name for females. So, yes, as therapists, we work to help people relieve that energy, negative energy. So, we have to deal with things for what they are. So, Black Einstein Production said, "So D, I'm waiting for the next thing you want to say." You see, for many men, they cheat to deter away from the stress. Just like our brother, Mr. Jackson. He felt he had the stresses of being at home in a religious situation, having a very highly conservative wife that operated with a certain guidance from others that affected her ability to please her husband or do the things that he finds attractive. I had a YouTuber talked about, or a person talked about, that everybody that they know that's married is unhappy. Well, you know what? I can use that same logic because there's a lot of people who are single who are equally, if not more, unhappy. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. So that's how we want to take a look at these things and be made aware of how if you're in a no. I just want to say these things, man. I just want y'all to kind of think about it because I'm listing stressors. I'm listing things that anybody can deal with at any time. I'm listing things that anybody could deal with at any time. It can go one way or the other. So it's about the position of how you cope or how you deal with these stressors that will lend you the opportunity to stay in the relationship longer or end it if it's no longer productive. So, do you want to tackle those issues? Or do you want to be a person that just talks about the issues and you see uh, you see how things develop and how they grow? We have to take a look at these options. So, so it's a matter of how do we make the best of a situation. We understand that stress can be viewed and stress can be handled in a variety of ways. For me, I propose that stress be handled in a way in which you do things that minimize the stress. You don't enter certain environments. You don't engage in certain topics. So stress can make someone have headaches, can cause sickness, more health issues. All can drum, all can come from a signal cell. So I just wanted to bring these things up as we speak. I know early today I was doing other content. I'm on Rebirth and Life Solutions. I decided to do something more in my lane and just focus on the 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 cons of marriage, because that's basically what it is. Being married can be a great thing, but being married can also be a horrific experience. And we have to understand that everybody has a unique set of circumstances that influence how they react to things. In essence, so whatever, for instance, somebody does something nice for you, and you see it as no big deal, but another person sees it as a big deal. So, so let me continue. So, Black Einstein Production says, "You think smoking is a stressor or on a wife? I think that weed smoking is a stressor on the wife if she does not like the smell or the atmosphere of weed, and the person is doing so outside of agreed upon circumstances to smoke weed. For better lack of word, if you know your wife doesn't like smelling marijuana smoke, why would you smoke in the house? It's simple. Just like if she, just like saying if she would have found something else worth her time and her effort, she would have approved it. We'd be having different content right now. Weed smoking cannot be an adverse situation unless you're driving. So we have to account for the issues that we create. And I do understand I am pausing a little bit because I'm kind of looking around where I'm at and I'm just seeing a bunch of stuff that I won't comment on, by the way. I've always felt that it is the least productive to talk to an echo chamber of people who believe with you all the time. It's always better content when people oppose and challenge you. So I just think that we have to be mindful of the stressors. Matter of fact, be mindful of if you're dating the stressors that a partner presents, because that serves as a highlight of what you're going to experience times 10 in a marriage. So what we deal with is the reality of what we created and what we have accepted in the institution of marriage. Just like any other institution that has its share of problems, we tend to also allow a certain set of problems to occur and be present in our relationships. We can only minimize and cope with stress. We cannot 100% get rid of stress and live a stress-free life. That's very hard. So, the stresses of arguing, the stresses of yelling, screaming, domestic violence potential, the stresses of complaining, the stresses of just, damn it, I want to watch this tonight. And so, I think that's particularly for men. We fall in love with the optics so much we ignore all of the basic aspects of a relationship. We're focusing so much on the ideal of being with somebody and not feeling lonely. And women deal with things from the idea of just being connected to someone no matter what. So guys, I just want you to think about that. I just want you to kind of think about what I'm saying. I'm going to be wrapping up. You think weed smoking is a stress on a wife? Yes, it could be. If she don't like smoking weed, yes. But a deterrent from the truth is lying. And there are YouTubers who are going around lying and lying and lying, creating more stress for themselves. And the only way certain people will engage is if they felt it was necessary to, just like a particular person in the thumbnail. His wife is engaging because she feels that she has to so he can maintain the bag. And so we have to consider the pros and cons of dating, the pros and cons of marriage, the pros and cons of relationships and how they develop and how they can alter the sense of how you think and the things that you enjoy doing. Now, I do understand that when we're dealing with stressors, not everybody is going to deal with it the same. Some people can be very extreme and go out the deep end and say and do things that are harmful to themselves, such as people who are somewhat like borderline personality disorder, or manic, when they're acting on impulses to the stress and they do things to harm themselves. And so let's talk about solutions to the stress. Being mindful of one another, being attentive, opening up the lines of communication, being assertive in that. No, these are things that I'm looking at. I'm also looking at the fact of this person continues to grow and mature. Sometimes these stressors that you encounter are best worked on together and not separately. And the level of resistance that occurs with change is also important. There are people, when you tell them the truth and when you tell them the adequate things they need to know and hear, they can become, a bit difficult to deal with. And so we have to look at us. But everybody, again, it goes back to how everybody deals with things and what everybody consider stressful or not. Exercise is great for stress. Talk therapy is great for stress. Going through different type of treatments, such as dialectic behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, which focuses on emotions, thinking, feelings. Diabolic behavioral therapy is more about emotional regulation. Emotional regulation, interpersonal issues. That's what it is. So, what's going on, Psycho Ken? He says communication and growth are very important. I would say that it is what led to the failure of my parents' marriage. My mother is not a good communicator. Hmm. He was very observant of that. Now I'm gonna say this. Um, in most situations, at least one or both people are not good communicators. The reason why is that the biggest part of communication is listening. I'm gonna repeat that. Listening is the most important part of communication. Listening, being empathetic to the other person's needs, and being mindful enough to help carry those things out, and not just look at yourself and being selfish. Not looking at, because I said this in a previous live stream. People marry to not to provide something for somebody else, but that the person provide those things for them. And so we have to think about it. We have to explore how we can stop or avoid making these decisions in serious relationships. It's very, what I would say, very, very in vogue for a person to get out of one bad relationship and approach the next relationship the same way to only get the same result. But in their assessment, it's the other person's fault. I did no wrong. We're gonna have to start learning to take self-accountability for the fact that you destroyed and hurt and caused bad relationships. And I hear a lot in Black YouTube how people are blaming others for things that they partially caused. A relationship is positive with two people, and it can also become negative because of two people. And yes, there are always other circumstances. We can't ignore circumstances. But I'm talking about is not about circumstances, it's about the norm. Imagine from the time you wake up in the day to the time you go to bed, you are partially responsible and partially integrated into a family where you're interconnected with other people in which you're responsible for what happens to the time you go to bed. The stress of not even having time for yourself, because your time is basically invested in others. And we need self care. We need self relaxation. But a lot of times people have difficulties in taking the time out for themselves. And we don't understand the benefits of that. So we'll just work ourselves to death because these are things that make up the stresses of a marriage. Work ourselves to death, overeat, overly involved in things that relate to other people that we're connected to. And we don't have enough self-care, but we want to be the best for somebody else, and we want somebody to be the best for us. Each and every day. There are no breaks in a marriage. Absolutely no breaks at all. You just can't take a time out. You just can't um, indulge in doing pleasurable activities without being accountable for your responsibilities. D. Durrell, we on Lock said, D. Durrell, in the world we live in, is normal or abnormal to cheat? In this world, it is seen as being normal to cheat, but it's out as being immoral. It is actually normal to cheat because people understand that it has occurred a lot. The problem is not that it's normal; is the problem is that it is seen as immoral. That's the issue. Because cheating has occurred so much in our it's a normal part of our culture, or our it's a reality, to lack of a better word, a way to express that. Cheating is a known reality in marriage. We know that it can occur. We know the potential. We understand that things can happen. The potential of your partner cheating on you can be very high, male or female. The issue is that what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Who cares to talk about that? You're not going to enter into a relationship where you think it's going to be without stressors. Whether you cause the stressors in that relationship or the other partner causes those stressors, your problem should be their problem. Marriage is a we thing, not a me thing. Marriage is about me, not it's about we, not me. Now, there's some people that have a difficulty understanding that. Some people have a hard time understanding that. And they have a hard time keeping the relationship. The stressors cause us to do things that we know may be wrong, but we do them anyway to avoid the stress.
such as lying. You may lie and say you're one place, but you're another place to avoid stress. You may lie and say that you're committed, but you're not committed because you cheating with other women takes your mind off of stress. Men cheat as a way of alleviating stress. Women don't like hearing that men cheat to take away from stress. The reality is that women and men both cheat because if they're in stressful situations, because the cheating that they're involved with the other person is not initially not a stressful situation. It's seen as a pleasurable situation. So the result of stress can contribute to somebody doing immoral things to achieve pleasure. Michael Israel says too many people marry because of lust and not love and respect. Lust lasts only so much. Yes, people look at lust for the physicality of the person's body, their physical attributes, not necessarily looking at all other more important attributes that contribute to a long lasting relationship. Someone's beauty does not negate them from being a bad person, or nor does it validate them being a good person. We all can account for stress every day. I deal with a lot of business stress. The stress of having to deal with multiple people who have all types of issues each and every day. And I'm supposed to problem solve. I'm expected to problem solve because I am deemed as the provider, the head of the household. I'm the male. But also for females, they're also supposed to be problem solvers as it relates to the domain of the household and the children. We're supposed to be making things easier for each other. A marriage should be designed in which two parties make things easier for each other to function. Because a man cannot go out and make a bunch of money and work unless he has someone there to take care of things at home, children, home, life, and everything else. If you're trying to do both, something's going to give. This is the main dilemma of black women who are successful with children, because they're in the dilemma of being stressed over home and work on a daily basis. And many of these women tend to be stressed out. They seem to be stressed out. And in being stressed out, they will indulge in avenues to be to basically relieve the stress. Also, we want to understand that the lack of dealing with stress is also a gateway to substance abuse. Someone alluded to using marijuana, but I'm going to allude to the fact that people who are stressed overly also may indulge in um, stealing. They may be indulged in um, doing hardcore drugs or softcore, because I've seen both, or popping pills. That's the facts. So relieving the stress can involve doing positive activities, exercise, art, watching music, listening to music, watching TV, listening to music, aromatherapy, reading, writing, music, or even just talking to someone that you trust, knowing that they'll give you full attention and listen. Because the problem with us within marriages, we don't like listening to the needs of the partner. We want to tell the partner what they should and should not feel. That's not how marriage works. It's not a dictatorship. It's a relationship that could consist of two people who are involved. So this wants you all to take care of that and look at that. So Mike talks about lack of spiritual maturity. Now that is not measurable, but I understand. And particularly for a lot of black women, and we can look at Mr. Jackson and his exploits. Spirituality is a lot of times connected to religion, just like religion is connected to spirituality, and vice versa. And there are women and there are men who dig that in a person. Some, to the most part, look at that as the most important reason to marry a person. So yeah, that's kind of where we are as a society. We are a society that is stressed out all the goddamn time. We continue to repeat doing the same stressful things all the time, and then we get adverse results that we're mad at the other person for why they have those results. But what I say is that the better you practice, the more you practice coping with stress, the better you become. And even the occurrences of something out of the ordinary happening, you'll have the tools to manage that. There's some people that don't have the tools. They just don't have the tools. And they're okay with that. So Michael Israel says, leave religion out of it. They are some of the worst cheaters, thinking they can just say a prayer and be forgiven. Amen. Derrick Jackson. Amen. Amen. People enjoy playing with God. And so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this live stream up. Well, I'm actually not. I'm going to talk a little bit more. I'm at the 15-minute mark, and I'm actually pissed off because my client was supposed to be here and they're not here. Give me 1 second, guys. So I'm at the 15-minute mark, and they did not arrive. I'm not happy about that. So we're going to kind of do a little ride along. I'm going to go ahead and check out of here. I actually could have been at home because I want to let you all know, guys, that I want you to check out. I'm gonna be doing an interview at 6 o'clock with um. I want to be doing a live. I'm going to be doing a live stream with Expose the Manosphere, and I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that. Let me let this thing charge for a little bit, and I will be talking about things that relate to people using therapy as a form, using YouTube as a form of psychotherapy, which to me is dangerous. And also, let's understand they use YouTube as a form of psychotherapy because they're trying to deter away from using the appropriate means to deal with those issues. Those are facts. But so we have to deal with things as we must. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Let's see. Who else is saying something? He says, "Yeah, I saw that. I definitely set a reminder. Yeah, I'm gonna be there in a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a little break for 30, 40 minutes. I'm gonna be on the road because I have to prepare for that. I have the questions and answer stuff, and I'm looking forward to that interview. I'm looking forward to conversing with him. Usually he does live streams for like an hour, hour and a half. So I'm really looking forward to having that discussion with him. So with that being said, guys, this is D. Durrell of Life Solutions. You all have a great evening.